Given where we are currently in our history, literacy, whether it be early literacy or literacy in general, pre-K through adulthood, it's something that is fundamental to the survival of our democracy.
If they are having students who enter their system at over 50% not ready to learn, that's a community problem. And so community organizations need to recognize that, and they need to try to see where they fit into that puzzle.
Community organizations are incredibly important because children don't start learning when they get to school. They start learning from the moment that they're born.
It really does take a village, and the village has stepped up with this common mission of making sure that our kids are entering kindergarten ready to learn and ready to learn to read.
It takes a village. How community organizations, schools, and families can work together to support early childhood literacy is produced in collaboration with WTTW and the Regional Educational Laboratory Midwest, putting research into action. Funding has been provided by the Institute of Education Sciences. In this documentary, you will learn how community organizations in Illinois are partnering with schools and families to support early childhood literacy, ages 0 to 8. Highlighted community organizations featured in this program are Open Books, North Lawndale Reads, Reach Out and Read, and the Rockford Public Library.
The early years are extremely important in terms of establishing a foundation for literacy. Right now, in our country, we are really seeing a crisis in literacy. In recent national test scores from NAEP, only about 1/3 of students were reading proficiently in grade 4.
We do a national snapshot every year of how our kids look in reading and math, and those data show us some pretty frightening realities around reading achievement among our nation's third graders. We see very large disparities in children's development.
So I think children really benefit from having community members collaborate to help them become proficient readers. Oftentimes we have a bad habit, I think, as educators or people who work in education, of labeling students as deficient or taking a deficit approach to the way that we describe students. And that really is victim blaming in some ways, and we want to try to avoid that. Many times children who are not proficient readers are not reading fluently because they have not had the same opportunities or the same resources that other children may have been exposed to. And the way that we need to remedy this is by making sure that each child is given an opportunity-rich experience in their young years, and that they have the needed resources, whether that's books, whether that's enrichment programs, whether that is podcasts or, different dramatic experiences in the community that they need to really enjoy reading and understand the benefits of it, but also develop the skills.
We know children who show grade level competency at reading or earlier as they enter kindergarten have higher academic achievement later in life. There's a correlation or relationship there.
In 4th grade, they're reading to learn instead of learning to read. And so there's a shift towards using reading as a tool for instruction and an expectation that children can read independently in 4th grade. And that's why we do see that many of the children who are not proficient readers by the end of 3rd grade may struggle in later grades because they can't read the materials independently that the teacher may be providing. We really do need to take a wraparound approach where we are bringing in all of our different community members that interact with kids to support early literacy. If you think about where children spend time in the course of their day-to-day life, children are out in the community. They're seeing doctors, they're seeing librarians, they may be in aftercare or before care, they may be attending some sort of summer program. And these are all ways that we can wrap around our young children in our community to help them become better readers.
Open Books is a literacy-focused organization based in Chicago. We strive to transform lives through reading, writing, and the unlimited power of books. We do a variety of different things focused on children and families. Open Books developed its relationship with Chicago Public Schools many years ago. The district has recently wrapped up a strategic planning process in which they are aiming to really impact literacy rates and have more kids reading at grade level.
I think almost any organization that's out there that serves families and children has a role to play. What I have found is what is most critical is that the communities come together and have a common goal, a common metric for success, and a common approach.
The topic of community support for early literacy is extremely important. I think that there's a widespread recognition that schools can't do it alone and families can't do it alone, that we really do need a community-based strategy to make sure that all of our children are readers.
At Open Books, we engage over 900 volunteers every year in all of the programmings that we put on. Those that are focused on our reading programs, especially with our younger participants, our younger grades, are trained in all of these methodologies to be able to think about how to engage kids prior to reading, during the reading, and after the reading.
Communities are great, robust, and rich resources that children and families instantly connect with, and being able to bring them into the school district is really pivotal to building stronger relationships with families and with their students. Children love to interact with adults. They typically love to interact with adults and books. And any opportunity, even if it's sitting in the book center or area where there are books and pillows and soft objects to enjoy, and reading a book and modeling for them what that looks like, engaging them in the story, having them tell you a story. Schools have limited resources, and so how do we allocate those resources to have the best benefits for the students? And one of the most effective pathways at this point that we know of is the one-on-one interactions with students to support their early literacy growth. And so not only the high value of the outcomes, but thinking about how we're using our resources strategically to make sure that we're supporting students effectively.
I would encourage anyone who is focused on literacy and seeking to partner with a district to really ask them where they feel like the need is and how they can help to identify and place the right programming in the right places.
The Staines Family Foundation has been in partnership with the North Lawndale community for more than 25 years. The mission of the foundation is to positively change the life trajectories of those who live, work, and attend school in North Lawndale. North Lawndale Reads is a comprehensive effort to ensure that students enter school with early literacy experiences that prepare them to learn to read, and also to ensure that they are reading proficiently at grade level by third grade. North Lawndale, the community where we work, is almost 90% African American. We're building a very strong coalition of businesses like Bobby Price's barbershop in North Lawndale, with early childhood centers like Carol Robertson Center, Mikva Challenge that works with youth leaders in North Lawndale, because we know that youth voice is important and that older siblings play a role in their younger siblings' lives, and that they may have a critical role in supporting the early literacy learning of their siblings. We expect in the next 5 years to have a deeper and more community-wide reach with North Lawndale Reads, where it's on the tip of the tongue for families, and certainly is has penetrated the home and daily activities of families.
One of my favorite things about early literacy, in all honesty, is that these are skills and practices that anyone can engage in with children?
So we really do need all entities in the community to work together and to understand the research about how children learn how to read. Because if they understand the research and can employ those different strategies, we have a much better chance of growing proficient readers in our communities.
Reach Out and Read is a very interesting story. It started out in Boston 30 years ago with one pediatrician, Robert Needleman, who brought his daughter's extra books that she had outgrown. He brought them to the clinic and left them out in the waiting room, and he saw that they quickly disappeared. And instead of getting mad and saying, oh my goodness, people are taking my books, he thought, let's study this. Let's see, why are people taking books and are people reading? And what happens if pediatricians give out books in clinics? It's been 30 years now, and Reach Out and Read has over 34,000 pediatricians that do the program. It's not just a program that feels good, that sounds nice, oh, that's so great, people are giving out books. It's actually a program that has evidence behind it.
I will say pediatricians are a great resource to be able to engage with parents. Oftentimes they are parents' first encounter with services outside of the hospital. So after they've given birth, the first wellness visit with the pediatrician, being able to share a book with them at that point, having books in their offices for children to begin to enjoy. Oftentimes siblings may sit in the lobby and enjoy a book while mom is soothing the newborn infant, and having that for them to enjoy is one way to engage with the community.
It's important for medical providers to support early literacy for children because it's a part of their growth and development. Their brains grow and develop so much in the first couple of years of life. So we, as part of Reach Out and Read, we pass out board books to younger children, and they fit in your diaper bag. So it's something like just to have in your diaper bag. And so I've been trying to send families home with a good sized stack of books, even if they just bring the baby in for shots, I'll say, what other age kids do you have at home? And go pull books off the shelf to give to their second grader and third grader and teenager in an effort to keep kids reading while they're home and out of school.
So I would advise school districts to reach out to us. We're eager to work with anybody that wants to help us to improve and to benefit our patients and their families.
The Rockford Public Schools and Alignment Rockford, which is a nonprofit organization in Rockford that supports our school district, came together to form the Ready to Learn Committee. And Rockford Public Library is one of several stakeholders who work together with the Ready to Learn Committee. In Rockford, over 50% of our students do not pass the third grade reading test. So that's an indicator for, our community's health in this area. Early literacy and early childhood education is not a school district issue. It's no one organization that is with this or should be blamed or looked at if children are entering kindergarten unprepared for school or they are not passing the third grade reading test.
There's lots of support organizations around, and in general, the community has a real willingness to support young children and families.
In terms of early literacy programming, the Rockford Public Library provides outreach to daycares, preschools, Head Start, regularly throughout the city.
They've got a program, Read 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten, really promoting that, families really need to read stories to young children so they can gain their vocabulary development, which is a great indicator for success when they enter K.
We fully recognize that we are not going to be changing the outlook of your child's literacy path by, providing a weekly story time. That's not our role. What we are doing in story time is modeling excellence in bringing early literacy practices into your daily life with your child. How to make reading fun is important to talk about the role of the community in educating our youngest members and remind the community that although the school district is a part of that conversation, it is not the only player in that conversation.
One thing that libraries do that nobody else does is provides books to kids and families. There is no doubt that having access to books, reading them recreationally, or being read to by adults or siblings is a very important mechanism for literacy development. It's indisputable.
I think if community organizations want to partner with the school district, they need to ask. And then they also need to be flexible enough in knowing that a school district's needs might not meet their initial thought process.
We, as different community members and organizations, may talk about how each stakeholder, so the school district, the families, and different community partners can really work together to meet that goal. So really breaking it down and thinking through how the activities that we're performing are coordinated and how we can collaborate and build bridges across different environments that children are in. So everybody has similar information and we have a coordinated approach for meeting those long-term goals.
I think building a stronger continuum of partnership between the thought leaders and the researchers and the practitioners, and then of course with schools, would be a critical step to continue moving the needle as it relates to early childhood literacy.
Early childhood is the business of a community. It directly relates to the health of the community. If you invest in your youngest children, your community will have healthy adults.
If I had a magic wand, I would really want to make sure that within 5 years' time that communities are working together in a coordinated way to identify struggling readers early on and help them address any issues that they may be having.
More partnerships with the library, more partnerships with the early childhood education programs, more partnerships with schools in general.
I think it's not being afraid to reach out and not being willing to give up. And then figuring out at which schools does it make the most sense, or is your goal to work with a specific school and make that connection? So you need to connect with a principal or with a teacher that you know in that community, and being able to help support them.
Not only is literacy foundational to students' academic success, but literacy is a human right. Literacy is the foundation for not only academic success and career success and full economic participation, but it's also the foundation for full civic participation.
This program was produced in collaboration with WTTW and the Regional Educational Laboratory Midwest, putting research into action. Funding has been provided by the Institute of Education Sciences.